Thanks for joining me in the garden today. My name is Kayleen and I live in Victoria, Australia, and this is my garden bed. I call it number 2, and I'm clearing it ready for spring. I am taking all the plants out and then we'll pot them up. We will divide them, make more plants and get them all sorted. I won't leave them out for a second longer than I have to, and we'll take them over to the potting bench and get some plants in pots, in soil or in the ground. Some of the rhubarb stalks fell off as I was lifting the plants, so I put them in my basket to take inside and cut the leaves off into the garden. So any extra vegetation in the garden is a little bit of chop and drop. The next big plant I had to get out was the blackcurrant. Now, the blackcurrants have massive roots system on them. Once they get going, they really stretch out. In fact, as I was pulling it up, some of those roots went for probably almost a metre, maybe 70 centimetres long. So it kind of stretched into the garden bed, probably about halfway, some of them. So it was later on I went about digging some of those out, because I would imagine little pieces like this would probably grow and I would have more currants. So we'll trim the roots up later before we plant it, but it's very difficult to get currants when they're dormant, to move them. They don't mind being moved at other times, but you'll see it's got sprouts on it already. They don't go to sticks really before they start moving again. So I got a lot of chives out of that garden. They probably need to be divided up, but I'm going to pot them in groups and deal with it later. The main thing is to get the garden clear and then get everything potted in a way that I can leave it for a while and not put it straight into a garden, because I'm not quite ready to do that all in one day, or I did do some weeding the second day. This thyme has tried to die on me several times, and excuse the pun, and it keeps on coming back. So it was green the other day and then it turned brown again. So I've dug it up anyhow. It's a peppermint thyme and I've only got that one plant, so I'm going to put it in a pot and just see if it comes back and it's happier in a pot instead of being crowded out in the garden. Because I'm likely to put this in the garden, the rhubarb, I decided to put it in a great big tub and just heel it in. And by heeling it in, I mean pretty much you plant them in soil, but you don't put a lot of soil underneath. It's just so it's covered and they can think they're growing in there, but it just protects them, keeps them moist, you keep them watered until you're ready to move them later. So the soil that I'm using is on the other side of the property, so I was back and forth with soil, collecting it for the pots, but we got it done. And later when I went to get soil to pot up the currant, I decided to just plant it close to where the soil was and get it in the ground, so I put it in the front garden. So I'm taking all the pots, all the plants, and putting them up on my potting bench and systematically potting them up. Unfortunately, my camera is a bit skew-iff, so we kind of got it in the shade here. It's a little bit tricky to see, so I've edited out a lot of it and fast forward quite a bit of it so you can see roughly what I was doing. These are the spring onions out of the garden that we took out of there, but I also had picked up some spring onions in amongst some chicken feed or chicken produce I'd picked up on a roadside stall. They'd given it to me from the chickens and I don't give them the onion. So they looked fine. So I grabbed them and cut them back and put them in a mug and left it in the kitchen for a while. So I brought them out also to pot up while I was potting all of this up, trying to chip away at all the jobs. My kitchen is often hosting some cuttings or things that I am sprouting in water, so it's not uncommon to see things like this in the kitchen. It's very easy to propagate from currants. So I have a black currant, a white currant and a red currant currently, and I've done it again with the puns currently, and they are very easy to strike and to take cuttings. So I could have done that at the time, but I had enough on my plate, so I've just settled for getting this plant in the ground. But when you're doing this or moving a larger plant, you could always take some cuttings to ensure that if you lose the large plant, maybe you might be doing it in a hotter climate, you've got some backups with some cuttings. Just start curling around. I will take off. That's pretty good. And look, these, take these out. That is the oxalis. So I went to the other side of the property to get soil to put the black currant in a pot, and decided I'll just put it straight into the garden, and I was going to go to the other side of the property to get the camera. So there you go, probably a bit close to the rows than I intended. In my rush I planted probably a foot, 12 inches too far over there, but that's where we're leaving it today. So I returned to the garden the next day and I found some more corn salads. So I've planted them very close to the perpetual spinach which I left in there. I don't know if that's going to do much, that spinach, but we'll give it a go. Otherwise I will let it go to seed. I think I collected some seeds from it, but I don't know if I marked them. That's the problem when you don't mark them and things look very similar to each other. But I did weed this bed. I left as much vegetation in it as possible to rot down, but I did have problem grasses in there and the oxalis, so I kind of had to go over it with a little hand tool. And the banana that was at the back of it, I was going to move out, and I kind of grabbed it and it was a bit loose, so I just pulled it up. So that is going in a pot too, and that's a bit of alyssum hiding amongst a tiny little fig that I had just propped inside the bed. It looks dead, but it's actually not dead. They're deciduous right now. Now the soil was better than I thought. I actually thought the soil would be horrible, but when I pulled all of that up, I found that the soil was pretty good. So I will add amendments to it as I build it up, because the soil I'm putting in it, I'm not sure how good that is, but I will leave this base layer alone. It's pretty good. As I was working it, or not working it, but as I was weeding it, the top layer of mulch that was remaining kind of went into the soil too. So the worms will have a little bit more food before I put the cardboard layer on and the mulch that goes on top. That's another job done, and every time I go into the garden, that's what I try and do. I try to have a job in mind, commit to that job and at least do that thing, and try not to put too many things on my list, because I mean I'm already quite puffed from doing all of that. I mean I do it as quickly as I can because I'm beating the battery. You know, I've got all my gear that ends up losing batteries, so to share it with you I've got to go pretty fast, but and there's a bit of back and forth across the property to do it, but we got there. So thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this, and or if you want to see anything else, or you know, I'm open to input if it's constructive. And yeah, how are you all doing with your garden right now, and are you in your winter or your summer? And how's that going for you? I see some kicking gardens out there, and I'll repeat that because I said it really fast. Kicking gardens meaning fantastic gardens out there. And but no matter what stage your garden's at, it's all good. We're all doing a good thing. Okay, see you next time. Bye for now.